time to push. Number one, the epidural never kicked in. I felt everything. I didn't like her vibes. I didn't like the vibe she was giving off. And I was like, I hope she does not deliver me. I hope she is not on call when I'm in labor. And she was on call when I was in labor, and she's the one who delivered me. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Jasmine, and today I'm going to be talking about my labor and delivery story for baby number 2. So for my son, I did a previous labor and delivery story for my first child. I will link that below for you guys to watch if you would like to. So just like the last one, I'm going to just tell you a little bit about my pregnancy before I had my son. So knew I was pregnant when my period was late. Basically, like I said, my period is always on time. Every 28 days it comes, and when it don't come, basically I take a test and I'm pregnant. So I pretty much know for the most part when I'm pregnant. Last time with my first child, the first person I told that I was pregnant was my best friend Chanel. With this pregnancy, the first person that I told was my sister Kira, and then my husband, he told one of his friends first. So my cravings during the pregnancy, I craved a lot of meat, probably because I had low iron. So mainly chicken wings from Walmart. So you guys know in the deli section, it's like 2 types of wings. I don't know the names of them, but one of them is like breaded, and one of them, I think, is it a hot wing or something? I don't know. It's so good though. Like, I was craving those. I got those a lot. Fruit, just like my last pregnancy. So strawberries, grapes, bananas, pineapples. Craved a lot of fruit. Ice cream and milkshake. So going to cookout all the time, like I just wanted a milkshake, like ice cream, some type of ice cream, milkshake, something. And then water and ice. Once again, if you know me, I do not like ice in my drinks. I don't like my drinks to be really cold. Normally when I'm going places, I ask for drinks with no ice, but for some reason when I'm pregnant, I crave ice and ice water. Like, I mean, I just crave it so bad, and it's weird because I don't like it normally. I gained about 25 pounds with this pregnancy, which I don't think is bad, but I started at 150 and I ended at 175. So listen, that was like the biggest I ever been. My average weight before was like 130. And so being at 175, it was just crazy because I've never been that big. And then it took me a lot. Like, I don't think I ever still really lost the weight after my son. Like, I'm still probably in that range. His original due date was September 11th. So that was my son's original due date. I first felt him move around 20 weeks pregnant, just like with my daughter. Let me see what else. So I had nausea and vomiting with this pregnancy as well. It wasn't as bad as with my daughter, but I did have it every single day, throwing up every single day. This one was harder, like I said, because I was bigger and I had my daughter to take care of. She was still a little toddler. Her birthday's in June and my son was born in August. So she turned 2 before I had him. So she was a little 1-year-old, 1.5-year-old running around. When I was pregnant, it was really hard, you know. I sweated really bad. Like, I'm talking about, I could walk outside for 2 minutes, walk to the car, and I'm pouring sweat. I always had to have a fan on me all the time. When I was sleeping at night, I would wake up with night sweats, like the bed would be soaked. It was really annoying. It was just hard to move around because I was just felt so big and miserable. It was hard to bend down, get in and out of bed. Also doing like my daughter's hair, cleaning the house, giving her baths, washing my hair. Like, it was just really hard to do basic everyday tasks as the bigger I got, which makes sense. But I just feel like with this pregnancy, it was just really a struggle just because I'm taking care of a little toddler and doing everything for her. And I had low iron again, so I had that with my first pregnancy. So I was feeling dizzy a lot. I was nauseous. I was vomiting. It was hard to stand up for long periods of time. So it was just really hard, but I knew that it was temporary, like all of this would pass or whatever. My daughter, towards the end, she started acting more like a baby too, which I know a lot of kids do. I don't think she really understood what was happening. I would tell her like her brother's in my stomach, but she, you know, kids don't really understand that young, but she definitely started being more attached to me before he came. And I just tried to spend as much time with her, play with her as much as I could. You know, when I had the energy, I tried to just do a lot with her because I was like, it's the last time I'll be a mom of 1 kid, so, you know. All right, so I think that's pretty much all I had to say about my pregnancy. It was just a really difficult pregnancy in a different way. Because my first pregnancy, like I said, if y'all go back to that first video of my daughter's labor and delivery story, you guys can see it was really bad. But this pregnancy was bad in like a different way. Like it was just a different level. I had a kid and it was just a different level. So it was really hard pregnancy. So let's talk about the labor and delivery story. And I do have my notes with me, guys, because I wrote it down after I had them. So on Sunday, August 26th, all night into Monday morning, I was having contractions like once every 1 to 2 hours, but in between them, I would fall asleep. On Monday, August 27th, I was having sparse contractions that became more frequent later in the day, but they still were like an hour apart or once every 30 minutes. They don't, the doctors, nurses, whatever, they don't like you to come in until your contractions are close together and they're frequent and consistent. So they usually, I think, like them to be 10 minutes apart for like an hour or two or something like that. Like they want them close and they want them frequent. So mine were sparse. They would be like once every hour, once every few hours. They weren't like super consistent. Even when they were like once every 30 minutes, that's not close enough for them to admit you. So on Tuesday, August 28th, I noticed that I couldn't sleep because of frequent contractions. So I started to track them with an app on my phone at 3:30 a.m. So 3:30 in the morning, I'm like, I've been having a lot of contractions and I probably should track them. But then I was like, no, this is not it. Like I was in denial that I could possibly be in labor, just because also another thing is I had both of my kids when I was 38 weeks, which is so crazy. Like they both came when I was 38 weeks. Like I never went to 40, but I'm still full term. But I was in denial basically because it's a big change coming and it was just a lot going on. So I finally was like, girl, just start tracking them. So I started tracking them and they were 10 minutes apart. And I couldn't really sleep. So I kept having to breathe through them. And my daughter, she was co-sleeping with us in the bed and I kept waking her up because I was like breathing through my contractions. I just remember like I was just having them and I kept waking her up. So I was like, you know what? Let me go into the living room and like labor by myself. So I went to the living room. I turned on my reality shows and I just kept laboring by myself and I kept tracking them. I was texting my best friend Chanel and I think she was at work. Was she at work? Because she works night shift a lot. But I just kept texting her. I was freaking out because with my daughter, my water broke. So immediately when your water breaks, they tell you to come into the hospital. With contractions, it's a little tricky because some women, they'll start having contractions and then it'll go away the next day. Or, you know what I'm saying? They'll be consistent for an hour or two and then they'll stop. So with contractions, they get a little finicky. They don't want you to come in if you're not really in labor. So they really won't admit you until it's all of these things. So eventually my contractions got to about 6 minutes apart consistently. Like they were consistent. And I started having diarrhea and I felt nauseous. And so like I said, with my daughter, when I was in hospital, I got nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea, and that was the body clearing itself out for the baby to come, and she came a few hours later. And so I started like freaking out. What happened was my husband, he had school, okay? He was in college, okay? He had class that morning. I don't know if it was 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock class, right? He had to do a presentation or turn in something. It was something important happening for him. It was either a test, a presentation, or he had to turn in something, that paperwork that was very important. So here's me laboring at home by myself because my husband and my daughter are asleep. I'm in the living room. It's 3, 4, 5, 6 in the morning. I'm by myself. I'm going through all this. I'm texting my best friend, freaking out. Don't know what to do. Because, you know, you want it to be the perfect time. Whenever it's time, it's never the perfect time. But you want it to be the perfect time and everything. And I didn't want him to miss his big thing that he had at class. Like, so it was a lot. I didn't want to wake him up. But I had to wake him up. Did I say what time I woke him up? I woke him up around 7. I think I woke him around 7. I was like, okay, I think we have to go to the hospital. Like, these contractions are coming back to back. Think about it. Like, I've been in there since 3 by myself. Like, I ain't gonna lie. It felt lonely. It felt lonely for me to be laboring by myself. in the living room. But I'm a type of person, like, I'm gonna be considerate of other people, especially my husband. And it's like, I knew he had to go to class in the morning. I didn't want to wake him up. I wasn't sure if I was in real labor, and I didn't want him to be up and it wasn't real. And then he could have went back to sleep, and now he has to go to class and all that other stuff. So anyway, woke him up. I called the nurse, doctor, whoever, got the green light from them. Now, we had to figure out what to do with my daughter, but luckily, my husband's cousin was staying with us at that moment. And luckily, she didn't have to work that day. She normally worked majority of the time, but that day, for some reason, she was off. So we asked her to watch Cali. She said, yeah. And we had to get Cali settled. And then I think my husband just ran to school. I feel like he had to drop off something, a paper or something. And he ran to school and gave it to him or whatever and came back. So we didn't get to the hospital until 10:30 a.m. And once again, like I said with my daughter, they like to take their sweet time. So I was in more pain this time around. Like with my daughter, I was having some contractions, but I wasn't in as much pain. This time I was in a lot of pain because I had been contracting since 3 in the morning, or probably before that. That's when I started tracking. It was 3 in the morning. It was probably before that. So I've been having contractions for a long time. You start to get tired. I've been awake for a long time. This was the time I went to triage. So my very first time, I was at a different hospital. With my daughter, we were in Atlanta, and they had a whole different system. With my son, we were in Marietta. We found a doctor in a hospital closer, and that's where we went for him. And they had like a different situation. So I had to go to triage. That was my first time doing that. Went in there, and it was crazy because just walking to triage with me and my husband, I had to keep stopping because every time I had a contraction, I would stop, I would do my deep breaths, and I would sway back and forth. Like, that's just what I did, and it helped me get through it, and then we'll keep walking. So I went to triage and everything, check me, blah, blah, blah. And basically, I wasn't done get checked in until about 12-ish because they just took so long. The midwife, I remember her vividly because I didn't really like her. So when I was having my doctor's appointments, they had like 6 different doctors. They were all women. And throughout your pregnancy, they was like, try to get doctor's appointments with each of the different doctors and midwives or whatever, because you don't know which one is going to deliver you. Whoever's on call that day is going to deliver you. And I remember I didn't get to have appointments with all of them, but probably most of them, probably like 4 of them I think I did, 4 or 5. And I remember it was like 1 or 2 of them I loved. They were so sweet, so nice. Every time I came in there with my husband, my daughter, they was like, oh my gosh, yes, that's the family that they're so cute. Look at their daughter. Like, they would just be so super nice to me, and I love their energy. And I was like, oh, I hope I just get one of these. The midwife who delivered me, her name was Leslie. I had 1 doctor's appointment with her when I was pregnant, and I didn't like her vibes. I didn't like the vibe she was giving off. And I was like, I hope she does not deliver me. I hope she is not on call when I'm in labor. And she was on call when I was in labor, and she's the one who delivered me. So I was a little upset about that. But basically, so when I got through triage, whatever, they was like, okay, the midwife is delivering other babies, or she's doing something, she's busy, so we're going to send a resident in to check you. So a resident came in, she checked me, and she said I was 4 centimeters. She was like, you're most likely going to stay. So I was like, cool, what I'm saying, I'm already 4, blah, 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 like, this is going to move quick. They always say your second child, third child, whatever, they move quicker than your first child, and my daughter came like this. So I was like, cool. So the midwife decides to come in. I guess like she was finished doing whatever she was doing. She came in while the resident was in there. The resident was like, yeah, she's 4 centimeters. Like, she's probably gonna stay. The midwife was like, no, let me check her. She checked my cervix, and she was like, your cervix is high and it's hard. So the baby is still high. So she said, you're going home. And I was like, what? Like, I was just so happy because the resident just told me like I was staying, like, you know what I'm saying, like home, going home. I'm already 4 centimeters. Normally they keep you if your water has already broke, or if you're like 3-4 centimeters, they'll keep you. And before that, they usually will send you home. But I'm like, I'm already 4. Like, what? She's like, nope, your cervix is still high. And I'm like, I'm just letting you know, my first child came really fast, and I'm scared like you sending me home, my son is gonna come fast and I'm not gonna make it. She's like, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. I'm a doctor. She was one of those people like, I'm a doctor and I know about your body more than you know about your body. And I don't like those type of people, because it's like, I know you went to school and everything. I know you've been doing this for some years, but you don't know my body better than me. And so she was like, go home, you'll be fine, go take a nap. She was like, wait until the contractions are stronger and closer together before you come back. And she gave me some pain medication. So she gave me 2 pills and a shot in my butt. And she was like, before you even get home, this medicine is going to kick in. And she was like, basically, it's going to help you sleep, okay? It's not going to take all of the pain away, but it's going to help you sleep. So she was right. Before we even got home, I mean, I was upset and everything, but there was nothing I can do. She told me how to go home. Before we got home, I was asleep in the car. So we got home, got my daughter, everything. I laid down around 1:30 p.m. I could still feel the contractions, but it was less pain. It was like more pressure. I felt a lot of pressure, but I didn't feel a lot of pain. And I took a 2-hour nap. That nap was beautiful. I took a nice 2-hour nap because, like I said, I had been up for so long. I've probably been up since midnight the night before. And basically, my water broke at 4:15 p.m. I was so happy because when your water breaks, you automatically get to go to the doctor. I don't like that whole guessing game of contractions, trying to figure everything out, and you have to time them. When your water breaks, it's an automatic entry, okay? An automatic ticket into hospital land. So my water broke at 4:15. Called the doctor. Leslie said, I can come in, but she said, don't rush. She was like, take your time. You know, the baby's probably not going to be here soon. Don't rush. You know, you was just in here a few hours ago. Like, I did not like her energy, guys. I didn't like her vibes. I was so upset. I was like, I hope by the time I get there, somebody else has came and took over and she went home, but she was still there. So we had to get my daughter situated again, you know, tell her how to do everything, blah, 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 blah. And we went and got gas. We got some snacks from Dollar Tree. And we got to the hospital around 6:30 because we ran into 5 o'clock traffic. So traffic, Atlanta, Marietta, wherever, you're gonna hit some traffic around 5 o'clock. So we got stuck in traffic and we got there around 6:30. My contractions were starting to get close together and strong. That medicine done wore off and they were getting really close. When I got there, I told them I had to go to triage again. They was like, hey, you was just in here. It was just so funny because the same people was working. They was like, hey, y'all are back again? Like, that was quick. Like, what the world? I was like, yeah, my water broke. So he was like, okay. I remember even them trying to talk to me. I was like, hold on. Like, when I was having a contraction, because when I'm having a contraction, please don't talk to me, don't touch me, don't nothing. I had to just stop, take my deep breaths. I'm swaying from side to side. And they were like, good, like good breaths. It was just so funny because I'm in pain and stuff. But they're like, good breaths. Like, you're doing a really good job, Mom. Like, all this stuff. And so they checked me and I was 6 centimeters dilated, guys. So I was 4 earlier and I was 6 now. And I told them I want the epidural as soon as possible. Please, like, I want the epidural. I'm trying to have a good experience like last time. I don't want to feel it. I want the epidural. I told them that throughout my pregnancy appointments. Please give me the epidural. They're like, okay. But they didn't have a room ready yet. So like, we're waiting on a room. Whatever. I'm literally in there laboring. Okay, it's me and my husband. It's in a small, tiny little room. I don't think nobody else was really out there. Like when we came, I don't think nobody else was really out there in triage, like waiting or anything. In between contractions, I was 100% fine. I was talking to my husband, blah, but when they were there, and I was in a bed, it was uncomfortable, like contracting in a bed. It was just, everything was just so uncomfortable. What happened was, I remember, right? I'm contracting, whatever. My husband's just like, I'm sorry, I can't help you, I can't do that for you. I remember distinctly, one of those contractions was different. So I would breathe through my contractions. Okay, oh my gosh, it's uncomfortable. Please, whatever, it's over. Cool, talking regular, same thing. One of the contractions, it was like it was, I don't know, it was like it hurt, but the pain shot up. And I yelped, like I let out a little scream. I was like, ah! Like, because it was different from the other ones. And I think it's because, what does they say it's called when the baby, like the shoulders drop down? It's something when like the baby's coming down, but they drop down into your canal or something. I think that's what happened. Like my son was like coming, like he was about to come. So when they heard me scream, they came in there immediately. They was like, okay, we got your room ready. Like, come on, let's go. So they wheeled me into the room and I had to wait for the anesthesia guy. Like I told them what I wanted. I please like have it ready. So we get in there. He was with another patient. So I had to wait on him. I'm just having contractions. They talking to me, asking me questions. I don't like that. but they're talking to me, blah, blah, blah. He came in, okay, let's get this done, blah, blah, blah. And right before it, this is how close my contractions were together, guys. They didn't check me when I got in the delivery room because they had already checked me before and I was 16 minutes. Normally, what I've heard is you're not supposed to get an epidural before you have a baby. Like, if the baby's there, it's too late. They didn't check me, though. This is how close my contractions were. So right before I had a contraction, because they asked you, like, right before they're about to stick you, you're not supposed to move or anything when they're sticking you because you can, like, mess something up. So they asked you, if you're having a contraction, tell me. So I had one right before he was about to do it. I was like, okay, I'm having one. Hold on. So after it passed, I said, okay, go ahead. He started doing everything. It takes like a little second. And I started having a contraction during him doing it. This is how close together my contractions were. I just had one before he stuck me, and I'm having one in the middle of him sticking me. But once again, it wasn't that painful because the contractions are way more painful than me getting a little poke in my back. Like, no. Then you know, like, relief is coming. Supposedly, relief is coming. So you're, like, a little bit calm. He told me to lay down because he said it takes 15 minutes for this medicine to kick in. So he said you're going to lay down. They're going to turn you to one side. So the medicine kick in, whatever. It probably might make one of your legs more numb. And then they're going to flip you over to try to let the other leg get numb, whatever. Tell me why as soon as I laid in the bed, I felt a lot of pressure. And they say what it feels like is you have to poop. And okay, that sounds weird, whatever. But it's pressure and it feels like it's coming from your butt. It's because the baby and your vaginal canal, it's right there by your butt. So it feels like you have to poop, but you don't have to poop. Your baby is coming. So as soon as the guy stuck me, the anesthesia guy, he stuck me. He said, lay in the bed. I got in the bed. I said, I got to push because I feel like I have to poop. So they called Leslie in. I'm sorry, guys. I mean, she might be a nice lady, but I was not feeling her at all. So they called Leslie in. She checked me. The head's right there. Just like my daughter. Except this time I didn't get to sleep with my epidural and everything. Like, no. So the head was right there. So they started running around, putting all their stuff on. And I felt the urge to push during a contraction. And I started pushing. Like, I told them, like, they were like, don't push, don't push. Because it's something like, if you push too early, too soon, you can rip and tear. And they weren't ready. They didn't even have their stuff on. But I was like, I feel like I have to push on pushing. Regardless if y'all ready or not, this baby is coming. Because she didn't listen to me. And I don't like that. Like, even her tell me, like, she's like, wow, your baby does come fast. Why? Even when she was like, yeah, well, our water broke. She's like, take your time. You can go get you something to eat. Don't rush and come in. Like, then I get back to the delivery room and it's time for me to already have my baby. And like, she wasn't even in there. They had to go get her. And she's like, oh my gosh, your baby do come quick. And it's like, yeah, I know what I'm talking about. So anyway, I told them I'm starting to push. Like, whether y'all ready or not, because guys, you can't fight the feeling. Your body is doing it itself. Like, you can't stop your body. It's natural. Your body's trying to get your baby out, and they don't wait for the right time and place. It was time to push. Number one, the epidural never kicked in. I felt everything. So that's a big difference from my daughter. My daughter had an epidural. I was numb, didn't feel a thing. This one, I felt everything. The epidural didn't work. Number two, I pushed, and they said his head was out. They was okay, his shoulders are next. I remember feeling, and this sounds so weird, guys, but this is how I felt. It felt like my vagina was constipated. So you know when you constipated and you really gotta poop and it's not coming out, but you know the poop is in there, but it's like you're trying to get it out, but it's not coming out. That's what it felt like. I'm like, I can't push these shoulders out. Like I told them, I'm like, y'all gonna have to figure something out. I can't get these shoulders out because I felt him. Like, I felt him being stuck, and I'm like, how am I supposed to push some shoulders out? Because you know the shoulders gotta come around and stuff. I said, I can't do it. I'm sorry. Y'all gonna have to figure this out. I can't get his shoulders out. Of course I did eventually get him out, but what happened was they told me to hold my legs up. And when I'm in a lot of pain, right, especially in my vaginal area, I want to close my legs. So I could feel it. Like I said, I could feel what was going on. So my legs were closing, and they were like, you have to open them. And I kept closing my legs, and then it was like, leave them open. And I kept like pushing them. It felt like a bicycle. Like, if you know you move your legs like a bicycle, that's what I was doing. They was like, ma'am, hold your legs straight. Hold your leg. I'm like, I'm sorry. I can't hold my legs straight. I can't get him out. But I was like, you got this. You can do this and all this other stuff. Push them out. I don't remember the ring of fire. So I know a lot of people say when the shoulders come out, because they're like the widest point, you're gonna feel like a ring of fire. But once again, it was a lot going on. I'm moving my feet like a bicycle, my legs like a bicycle. It was just a lot going on. I didn't feel that part, but I did feel her stitch me up. So once again, like my sisters and somebody else tried to say like I didn't have a natural birth because I got an epidural. Honey, that epidural didn't work. It didn't kick in. I felt every single thing. I felt her stitch me up. It hurt so bad because I was so tender. I think did I have a first degree tear? I think it was first degree. For my daughter, it was second degree. I think I had a first degree tear. So I felt her stitch me up. I'm already sore and sensitive, and I could feel everything, the needle going through. And then it was sad because I had to stay by myself at the hospital because my husband had to stay with my daughter at home. They visit me during the daytime and stuff, but he had to stay with her at home at night. So I had to stay there by myself. So it was just kind of, I had first degree here. I found it, never mind. But I did have to stay there by myself. And I hated being in the hospital for those 2 days. It felt like a lifetime. It was only 2 days, but the hospital sucks because you get no sleep. They come in every hour. They have to check you. They have to check the baby. They have to run so many tests on the baby. They have to do tests on you. They have to keep checking on y'all, so you never get sleep. And then the time I do start to fall asleep, he's up. So it was just really, really hard. And they didn't have a nursery. With my first daughter, when we were at the hospital in Atlanta, they had a nursery option. So what you can do is you can send your baby to the nursery while you get some rest at night. And we did that for one day. So we sent her around midnight, and I told them to bring her back around 6, I think. 6 or 8, one of them. And I felt guilty. Oh my gosh, that mom guilt I felt, because it's like you're putting your baby in nursery, but they're trying to let you get sleep. And if they need to run tests or anything, they come get the baby from the nursery, take your baby to get tests and everything. They'll bring them back, but you can choose how long the baby stays in there or whatever. But we definitely used that option, and it helped us get some sleep. And I was like, dang, I should have did it for a little bit longer. But they didn't have that option at my son's hospital because they wanted they said they got rid of that because they want you to bond with your baby. So you keeping your baby in the room, you're not sending your baby to a nursery or anything. So it was just really hard because I was by myself and I was tired and all that other stuff. But anyway, like I said, a lot of people come in and out. The food was horrible. The food was really horrible. The baby was up most of the time, and I probably got 2 hours of sleep total during the 2 nights I stayed there. 2. I'm up all day with the baby. I'm up all night with the baby. And I got 2 hours of sleep out of 24 hours. So it was really hard. The people in and out. I'm sleep deprived. I'm tired. I'm hungry. The food sucks. I'm here by myself. Like I said, during the day, my husband and daughter would come for a little bit, but he also has school. It was just a lot going on. He had schoolwork to do. My daughter's young. She's little. And I'm used to, it's usually me who takes care of her majority of the time. So, it's different for my husband to take care of her now. And it's just it was a lot. Then, on the day I was supposed to be discharged, they told me that I would leave around 11 or 12. Okay? But my son had to get circumcised. And he got circumcised the day we were being discharged. Tell me why I didn't leave till 5:30. I was so over it because I was ready to go home. I hate being in the hospital. I don't go to the hospital a lot. I hate being there. But they took so long with his circumcision. I think it was because, I don't know, they had a lot of babies that day or something, they said. And so my son had to wait for a long time. He just had to wait. And I kept asking them when they came in, are they ready to do it? They was like, no, not yet. So they just took a long time. The procedure itself didn't take that long. It took forever for them to come get him. And then after the procedure, he has to stay there for an hour for them to watch him to make sure he doesn't get no signs of infection or anything after the procedure. I was just over it, bro. I was just so ready to go. And like I said, I'm going to definitely do videos on postpartum and all the things I experienced postpartum. More videos about my kids because they had their days and nights confused. I just have so much to say about my kids and the experiences that I have with them. Just the hope that I can help any other mamas out there. But yeah, guys, that was my labor and delivery story for baby number 2. As you can see, it was different from my first child. And I just feel a lot of times they said they're different from child to child. They're just going to have a different experience. Comment down below your experience with your kids, your labor, your delivery. I would love to chat in the comments with you guys because I love hearing stories. Everybody's stories is so different. And so I wanted to put mine out there once again because I love watching these types of videos. So if you like this video, guys, give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you like to. And I will see you in another video. Bye, guys.